Hey guys, welcome back to Anime Sekai Podcast. It's Ichigo.
And Mikan here.
What's up, guys? So, this week we are going to discuss our top anime villains of all time, at least of our time, I should say.
We're not that old, okay?
We're not that old. So, Mikan, who are your top 5 anime villains?
Oh, I gotta bring it down to 5, huh?
Yeah,
That's
you gotta give
hard.
me 5.
Okay, well, I already know probably one of my favorite is of course Aizen from
Mm-hmm.
Bleach. Love him. I'd probably marry
Mm-hmm.
him, honestly. Probably one of the only few villains I would marry, but and then probably I also love Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, one
Mm-hmm.
of my favorites.
You gonna marry him too?
No, he's a little bit on the no side. Just more entertaining to watch. Don't think I would marry him, but I would say 3 is Johan probably from Monster.
Mm-hmm.
4 is Makima from Chainsaw Man.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5, which I think most people can agree with, is Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh yeah, no, he's in my top 5
Yes, I'm
too.
pretty sure he is. I'm pretty sure he's in
He's
like
got
90% of people's top 5 because he's crazy.
he's
Wait, what's your
yeah, no,
top
he's gotta
5? Oh,
go.
yeah, he gotta go.
So my top 5 is Frieza from Dragon Ball Z, Muzan from Demon Slayer.
Okay, good one, good one.
I would also say Naraku from Inuyasha,
Of course.
Sho Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist
Thank
Brotherhood.
God. Yes.
And then Yagami Light
Okay, good one. Yep. That's
from
another good
Death
one.
Note. Yeah. I mean, there are some other really good villains, especially from each anime world. So you also have like Cell from Dragon Ball Z.
One Piece has some good ones too. Don
Mm-hmm.
Flamingo, love him. Hunter x Hunter as well. Meruem, another good one.
Yep.
I feel like
I was
Full
trying
Metal
to
has a
think of.
lot. They have a lot of good. Envy,
Oh yeah, Full
Pride.
Metal Go. Envy. Whew. Envy. I will never forgive Envy. I'm sorry. I will never, ever, ever forgive Envy for how he destroyed that whole
Oh
family.
yeah. But honestly, I have to say Mustang, like the way he killed him was beautiful. It was amazing.
Yes, thank you, Mustang. We appreciate the way that you took Envy out. But he also took out, in the original, he took out Lust as well, because if my memory serves me
I
correctly,
think
I
you're
think
right.
Lust also had something to do with Hughes's
I
death.
think you are right. Yes.
Yeah, Hughes. That was such a tragic death of
That
an
really
anime.
was.
And that is why Envy should probably be in my top 5, but
You gave it to
honestly, Show
Tucker. Yeah.
Tucker, yeah, I
No,
had to give it to
that's
Tucker because I feel like anybody who decides to
mess up their own family like that, especially their own kids. That's a whole
Yes.
nother.
Nina was so innocent. She did not deserve the death that she got.
That was messed up.
Show Tucker, I'm sorry, bro. You gotta go. And I don't want to put him at number 1 because, and I'm not gonna say I understand why he did it, but I'm not gonna put him at number 1 just because I feel like he was almost driven to that point where he was so focused on his own success in a
That
way
he
that it drove him to destroy his family the way that he did.
Interesting. So I feel like for messed up, he's one of the top ones I would put as a villain. Like not my favorite villain, but if you asked me
Mhm.
who is probably the most messed up one, he would probably be at number 1 for me.
It wouldn't be Yagami Light.
No, because I feel like I can kind of understand Yagami Light a little bit better. Like I understand
Mhm.
where he's coming from for the most part when he was killing bad people.
Right.
And then he kind of did his own thing, you know?
Yagami Light kind of went off on his own thing, but I get what you're saying, but I feel like with Sho Tucker, and I really hate to play devil's advocate
Mhm.
with him, but I can kind of see
What?
a little bit what drove him mentally
Yeah.
to do what he
Oh,
did.
interesting.
mentally, because think about it, he had gotten so many I guess awards in past, like he was a renowned scientist, right? And he wanted to, I guess, maintain that reputation, and in order to maintain that reputation he decided to make the sacrifices that he did. Because if you think about it, in the original Full Metal Alchemist anime, he did kind of repent at the end. It was almost like he came to the realization of what he did.
Hmm. Interesting. I almost feel the opposite. I almost feel like I don't understand his purpose. You know, there was a lot of times where he's like, "Oh, I'm trying so hard for my family. I'm trying." So I'm like, "What? You basically lost your entire purpose of getting up in life, because you basically destroyed your entire family." So I'm like, what was the point?"
I think that was all a disguise where he was saying, I'm doing this all for my family. I'm doing this all for my family. But in turn, he was really doing it for himself.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the end, he basically chose himself. But interesting. I feel like there's other people who are considered villains, maybe that I understand a little bit more. But he's definitely,
Hmm.
for me personally, one that I don't understand. Another one for me that I'm most terrified of is Johann from Monster, who's basically a
Yeah.
crazy sociopath,
Psychopath.
a psychopath, whatever you want to call him. But those are the kind of villains that I'm like, they're great villains in the story. But personally, for me, I prefer villains that I understand or that I feel for as well, because at least I know where they're coming from. So when they're straight up crazy,
Yeah.
they basically are just out to watch the world burn and not necessarily
Hmm.
gain something.
Hmm.
Great for storytelling sometimes. You have to tell it right, though. For me personally, I'm not the biggest they're great villains, but I'm just not the biggest fan of those kinds of villains.
I get that, but if you put it that way, I feel like Frieza should also be one that you don't understand, because he's basically going around destroying planets to try and take over
Yeah,
the
yeah.
universe. Like,
I mean, most
there's no reason for him to just go around and destroy planets because he felt like it.
yeah, no, I feel like a lot of villains typically are going after power or taking over the world or whatever, or just, wanting to watch the world burn. But I love those more complex type of villains.
The ones that make you feel bad for them
Kind of, yeah.
in the end.
Or sometimes I'm like, I get where you're coming from.
If that's the case, I feel like all the demons in Demon Slayer, that's their case. When they get defeated at the end, it gives you their whole backstory.
Yes, it does.
In the entertainment district arc of Demon Slayer,
Mhm.
the brother and sister that were the upper ranked demons, when
Mhm.
they got defeated, it was like, oh, well, they were actually brother and sister in real life, and they were really, really close, and these bad, awful things happened to them, and they felt weak and they felt powerless. And then Muzan showed up and he changed all of that
Yeah.
by turning them into demons, and now they're powerful, they're strong, they take out their enemies. And it's like, oh, I hated you,
But now,
and now you
yeah.
told me all of this, and I'm
Now I
like,
see
I
what
mean,
you've like, you see it from their
yeah.
perspective. Yep, I love that. I really like that.
But I feel like there's not a whole lot of villains in anime that have that type of backstory, if that makes
Yeah, I
sense,
know
at
what you
least
mean.
and the villains that I've named.
Mhm.
Now, mind you, Muzan, because Demon Slayer is new, we don't know if he actually has a backstory.
Mhm.
In the manga, for the anime, I'm talking about the anime. The manga, I think, if he does have a backstory, it gives you his backstory. I have not read the manga yet, so I'm strictly talking about the anime. But the anime, you don't necessarily know what his backstory is. You don't know how he got to that point. And I feel like, just based off of what we've seen so far in Demon Slayer, where the demons have this sad, tragic, awful backstory, he's gonna get one, and it's gonna make everybody feel like, oh, well, now we get why he's
The way he is.
the way
Yeah.
he is. And I'm hoping that's not the case.
You just want him to be evil.
Part of me just wants him to be
Yeah, that
evil.
might be nice. I feel like the main bad guy, it's sometimes nice to just straight up be just straight up be bad, for whatever reason, for no reason at all, I guess. Just be bad.
Yeah, just be bad. I mean, kind of like Frieza, like he was straight up evil, and everybody's just like, yeah, he's an evil
Yeah.
person. He is.
He was just born that way.
Frieza, his father, his brother, they're all just evil, and there's nothing you can do
You gotta
about it.
stay in the
That's the life
family.
that they chose. That's what they decided to do with their lives. So that's just how it's gonna
Yeah.
go. But I feel like some of these villains, if you gave them a second chance, do you think that they would turn their lives for good?
You mean the villains we mentioned?
Or just any villain that you can. think of anime, ones that we've mentioned and ones that we have not mentioned.
Oh, yeah,
If they're
there's the gray zone, the
mm-hmm,
questionable villains that I think if you ask different people, not all of them would think they're villains. So I
right.
have a few. I
Okay.
got basically 90% of the cast of Attack on Titan. I mean, that story in itself is really good depiction of gray because it's just
mm-hmm.
basically life and how messed up it is. I would
Okay.
say Isabella from Promise Neverland.
Oh, you talking about the mom?
Yeah.
I feel like she's a villain, but also not. And I hate to say that
Yeah.
because not that she couldn't help it, but she couldn't help it.
Yeah. But I mean, she still made her choice kind of thing, you know? She knew what she was
She
doing. And I think
did
on a lot of people's list, she is a pretty
a
popular
villain.
villain.
Yeah. I don't know. In that first couple of episodes, you're like, "Aw." And then you find
Yeah.
out
And
what
you're like,
happens and you're
"Oh,
like, "Oh."
wait a minute." Honestly, that's one of the best animes where you should just go watch it without any knowledge. I mean, granted, now it's a little harder because the whole story's out there, but I remember when I
Yeah.
first started watching it, I was like, "Wait a minute, what just happened?" I thought this was
The
gonna be cute.
Promised Neverland turned
Yeah,
dark very
I love
fast, and
that.
I think part of it is because of Isabella. Like,
Yeah.
at the end, you find out her a little bit of her
Oh,
backstory and why she has to do what
so
she has to
heartbreaking.
do, and then you kind of feel for her, and you're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I would never put myself in her shoes.
Yeah.
Sorry."
Or I feel another good one is Scar from Full Metal Alchemist.
He's not a
I
villain, he is a
mean I
victim.
mean, yeah, he's another villain victim.
That man is hurting.
Yeah.
I don't consider Scar a
Mhm.
villain because he's the only one left. He has had everything taken from him, his village, his home, his family, everything stripped and taken from him forcefully, that he's in a way trying to get
Mhm.
revenge.
No, I totally feel
So
that. I don't view him as a villain either. I think just
he could be a revenge villain,
revenge.
if that makes any sense. He's only a villain because he is out to get
Mhm.
revenge, but he is destroying the wrong people to get his
Yeah.
revenge.
No, I agree. Is there a villain that you would say you would be really terrified? Because, like, for me, it's Johann because he straight up is just crazy with for no
Mhm.
reason, just born that way. Is there a
Mhm.
villain that would really scare you?
I have a lot that I would never want to come face to face with
Well, yeah,
ever.
most of them.
I feel like it would be between Muzan from Demon
Mhm.
Slayer, Yagami Light.
Okay. Oh, wait, that's a good question. Why, like Muzan I can kind of understand, I guess, because he's, like,
Yeah,
the type, "If you get in my way, I'll just destroy you," kinda thing.
right.
But what
Right.
about
Which a lot of villains
yeah.
are like
I mean,
that.
Light, I
So
can see, yeah, if you get in my way, I'll destroy you too, but
Light is one of those, like, even if you get on his good side,
Mhm.
there's still no way for you to be 100%
I guess,
safe, if
yeah.
that makes sense. He is the type of villain who will befriend you and be buddy buddy with
Mhm.
you, and just the moment where you think you safe, bam, you
Yeah,
gone.
he writes your name in that book, and you go,
And then the whole time you're thinking, "But I thought we were friends." Nope.
"I was lying, I was
Nope.
pretending the whole time."
I think that is the reason I would not want to come across Light,
Okay.
because I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know how he's going to act
Mhm.
next, and that man is psycho.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Interestingly, I feel like Light is the kind that if I'm able to understand him or, like, kind of just stay out of his way, I feel like he wouldn't bother me.
I feel like even then he's still going to take you out. Like, I didn't do anything to this
Yeah.
man, but somehow my name still ended up in the book.
I mean, he usually killed people with a purpose.
In the
No,
beginning.
even in the end, anyone who tried to get in his way in the end was kind of written up. So I feel like if you stay out of his way, you know, and be a good person, you'll be good. He's not coming for you.
I'm not taking my chances. I'm sorry, I'm not. Because the moment I'd be like, even if I have done nothing, I could just slip up and say, I think Yagami Light might be a little crazy. Next day, my name's in the book.
You're just gonna have to
Like, you
change your
can't.
name.
Another person I would never, ever, ever probably want to be face to face with, another villain, is Naraku
Naraku, okay.
from Inuyasha, because he's sneaky.
I can see that. Yeah.
He's straight up,
It's like
like,
a
he is
fox.
utilizing other people
Yeah.
to do his bidding.
Yeah, the
Like, do
manipulative
you realize
types.
how many villains Naraku sent to Inuyasha and the crew before they actually reached him? How many seasons of Inuyasha
Yeah,
are there?
that's true.
just when you think that Naraku has been defeated
Mhm.
and he's gone, there was a season where I think more than half of the season they thought he was dead.
Mhm.
Straight up. They thought he was gone. And then he
He's
popped
like,
up towards
"I'm
the end of the season like,
back."
just kidding, guys. I am still
He's like popping
here.
back
I was
in
just
for some screen time.
recuperating. That doesn't make any sense. How does it take you that many seasons to get to one bad
Yeah,
guy? And along the way, you got to keep fighting everybody he throws at you?
basically.
He's too
It's kinda
sneaky.
like Makishima from Psycho-Pass, basically
Mm-hmm.
the super manipulative type.
Yeah, no, I don't want to deal with anybody that is that if you are that manipulative, don't even come around
Yeah.
me.
I mean, he gets basically the good guys and the bad guys killed, you know? They basically just throw everybody under the bus.
Right. Well, and there are a lot of villains like that. It's like, you know what? I don't want to do this lifestyle anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and take everybody out. I don't care. Whoever is in my way, you're getting
Yeah.
taken out.
Oh my
Sorry.
god, I feel like
Nope.
Chainsaw Man, which I know is not your thing, Makima.
That's too gory
Yeah,
for me.
Makima,
I
that
know the
yeah,
villain, but
she's crazy. She scares me. She's the type that terrifies me because I really don't know what's going on in her head. Johan is, like, just straight up crazy, so I don't know him, and she's kind of on that scale too because I'm like, "I don't know what is going through your head, lady," and you got
mhm.
the crazy eyes too. She's got the crazy eyes to boot.
I've not seen Chainsaw Man. Just that's one of the animes I will probably have to avoid because I don't really like that much
Yeah,
gore. And that's very
she
gory.
basically can kill anyone from anywhere. I think was it as long as she knows their name,
That sounds like Yagami
basically.
Light in the female
Yeah.
version. Do you think villains can be reformed? And by reformed, I mean if you think about Vegeta,
Mhm.
when Vegeta was first introduced in the Dragon Ball series, he was a villain, and Piccolo as well. They were both
Mhm.
villains that were eventually reformed to the good side
Yeah.
and started fighting on the good side.
Yeah, without a doubt. I feel like there's some animes that have a crap ton of villains. Like you mentioned, yeah, Dragon Ball would probably be one of them. And then
Mm-hmm.
Bleach. Like, I feel like 90% of their villains come back reformed,
Reformed.
basically. One Piece is another one. They just have a bunch of villains who end up fighting on the same side at times. That's another show where there's like a gray. The good guys end up being kind of like the bad guys, and the bad guys end up being the good guys. Because technically,
There's a lot of
yeah,
anime
because
like
technically
that.
pirates are supposed to be the bad guys, but, they're not.
They're the good
Yeah.
guys. Well, at least in within that universe. If you think about it at one point, and this is an unpopular opinion, but if you think about it, Sasuke from Naruto eventually became a villain.
Yeah.
He bounced back and forth between good and
Yeah.
evil.
It was just depending on the day, you know? You're just like, one day it's like, the next day he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna fight for good."
Well, and didn't he study under
Yeah.
Orochimaru for a
The
little
thing is
while? He went with
yeah, the
Orochimaru.
thing is he had a purpose. He was out for
He
revenge
did.
and yada yada, and then once he lost that, he was kinda like, "What do I do?" You know? Yeah, kind of, basically.
Well, that's the other thing I feel like with Scar from Full
Mhm.
Metal Alchemist. That's why I don't necessarily consider him a villain. I think he is like Sasuke, a revenge villain who once he got his revenge, which I guess
Like
if
his
you think about
purpose
it, he
was
didn't really get his.
his purpose
Yeah, his
once
purpose was
yeah, or like
fulfilled,
it was gone, kind of.
but I feel like he was destroyed before his purpose was fulfilled. And it wasn't until the very
Mhm.
end of his reign of
Yeah.
terror, I guess you can call it. He had a revelation at
Yeah.
that point.
And
So
that's actually really good
mm,
because because I feel like Attack on Titan
mhm,
is a great example of depicting gray lines. There's no really black and white. In my personal opinion, I feel like there's
mhm,
no black and white. And depending on who you ask,
right.
like particularly Aaron, you can ask,
Jaeger.
yeah, depending on who you ask, he'll be a villain or he'll be a hero. I don't know. It's
Mhm,
questionable. But so my question to you, I know you don't watch Attack on Titan, but basically,
mhm.
spoiler for anyone who has not watched the final season or is close to the end, just letting you know there is going to be spoilers here. And I know you're not going to watch it, so I'm just going to spoil it for you. Basically, what happens is, they're on a little island, right? There are people who can
Mhm.
turn into titans. Their ancestors had that ability.
Yeah,
And there are other people on the mainland. Basically, the mainland people used other people to fight the people on the island. So, what's happening is the people who come from the same ancestors are fighting each other.
okay.
And what happens is there's something called the rumbling, where if you
Mhm,
awaken these titans in these walls, they're ginormous. They're basically going to trample the world and destroy the world. So Eren
okay.
awakens them and he goes on a rampage. And now they're all basically, destroying the world. They could have also chosen the path of sterilizing all of their people. Their bloodline will end with them. So my
Right.
question is, Aaron chose to basically kill everybody, basically, except his little island of people, you know? So he chose the people he loved over everybody else.
Okay.
In your opinion, that was a terrible explanation for anybody who's probably watched, but I tried to like shorten as much as I could. In
Yeah.
your personal opinion, what
Mhm.
would you choose? Now, there won't be any more of you born. The world's still going to hate you, obviously, because of your ancestors' past actions, whatnot. The world's probably going to still come and kill you guys.
So
Either
either
that, or
that
you
or
would
take out
take out
everybody?
everybody else.
If it were me, I would probably take everybody
Mm-hmm.
out. And the reason I would take everybody out is because even if they all get sterilized and everybody mad
Yeah.
at you, there are still going to be people who don't believe that.
That's actually an interesting take.
There are going to be people who are like, nah, I ain't buying it. We still going to take y'all out
Yeah.
anyway. So I feel like it's not really a win-win
Yeah.
situation. It's either I take everybody out or we all get sterilized. We don't become the Titans
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And somebody else still takes us out because,
They hate us.
well, it's not only that, but they don't believe that you've been fully
Mm-hmm.
sterilized.
Interesting. Yeah, I never thought of that take.
Mind you, I haven't seen Attack on
Yeah.
Titan, so that is my take on it. And I can see where he is the villain in
Yeah.
that case. But if he is thinking, even if we all get sterilized and we all are okay and we never become the Titans again, our lives are still in
Mm-hmm.
danger, in which case people are still going to come for
Mm-hmm.
us. There might be a little bit less worry, but people are still probably going to come for us. So, what's the best way to
Prevent that.
and the best way to prevent that is everybody gotta go.
Get rid of them.
Everybody's got
Yeah.
to go.
No, I agree. Yeah, I would probably choose the same, especially as someone who watched Attack on Titan, everything Aaron went through. Like, I totally understand where he's coming from because I'm like, after all the
Yeah.
crap everybody's put you through, listen, I totally get it.
They then have to all go into hiding for the rest of their lives,
Hmm.
potentially. And if they go into hiding, that means they're not being able to live a full life because they're always going to be
Yeah,
targets.
no,
They're always
I
going to have a
agree.
target on their back. So I understand the
Hmm.
choice that he made.
And that show itself, I feel, is really interesting because depending on which side you stand on, your viewpoint is totally different because the same people with the same ancestors are fighting each other because
Hmm.
was born on the island, like where Eren was, and that's all he's ever known. And then the others were born on the mainland
Um,
where they were persecuted or they were brainwashed to believe they were evil, and the people on the island were evil, and their ancestors were evil, so they have to take them out.
mhm. That makes sense.
So it's sad. You're fighting your own people, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about villains such as Sesshomaru from Inuyasha? Would you consider him a villain?
Mm.
And the only reason I'm pulling him up is because I feel like he is a villain, but I also feel like he's not a villain.
Yeah, I know it.
He's a villain when he first comes out,
Yeah.
yes. But he's only a villain to Inuyasha. He don't care about
Yeah,
nobody else.
that's true.
And Naraku at one point, because at one point they did fight against
Yeah.
Naraku,
I don't know. I
but
don't think I really consider him a villain. He's kind of similar in the category of Hisoka. They're kind
oh
of like not really
yeah,
villains. They're not like fighting the main protagonist necessarily,
character.
you know.
Sesshomaru is.
Yeah,
He's fighting
but
Inuyasha, but he's fighting Inuyasha for at first the sword, and then it was actually no. That's pretty much the only time he was
yeah,
really
they're
fight him was over that
Yeah, they're
sword.
not, like, trying to really I don't know, it's not like they're trying to take him out, like, Hisoka likes to fight wants to fight Gon just because, well, he likes to fight powerful people, but I feel like they're kind of in the same category where
Yeah,
they're more like training ground for the main character to become stronger. You know what I mean?
I could see that, but they don't really fight like
Yeah,
that.
it
Here's the thing: Hisoka was fighting random people, not random
like
people, but like
yeah,
you know
like
what I
powerful
mean,
people,
random.
yeah.
Sesshomaru was fighting his brother, and then Naraku at one point, which the switch that Sesshomaru made from fighting Inuyasha, I should say his half brother, to oh now I'm going after Naraku too, was funny to me because it was like if Naraku and Inuyasha were fighting and Sesshomaru was in the vicinity, he would come and just fight both
Mhm.
of them. I'm not helping you,
I'm just here.
but I'm just helping you real quick to so that you can defeat
Mhm.
Naraku, and then when you're done with him, it's me and you, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
That's why I kinda see him And obviously in the beginning when he's first introduced, he is the villain, but he is only the villain per Inuyasha. He's not necessarily the villain against Sango, Kagome,
Yeah, he's not like the main villain after
Miroku.
everyone.
Right. He's like, look, I could care less about you guys. I'm only after him. And I'm not even after him. I'm after his sword that he won't let me have that I feel like I should rightfully have.
Yeah, that's why I feel like those kind of characters are more like dress up villains in a sense that they're either there to make the protagonist more powerful or learn a lesson
Hmm.
or just kind of be an interesting character.
Now that you say that, that kind of makes me feel like that is what Piccolo and Vegeta
Mm.
in a way are supposed to be. Like they were there to help Goku get stronger. And then they, I don't want to say switched to the good side, but they were drawn into the good side.
Yeah, no, I do think there's a lot of, I guess, side villains. Like they're kind of like side quests in a sense.
These are side
Yeah.
quest villains, which there are a lot of
Oh,
them. There
yeah.
are a lot of
There
side
are.
quest villains.
Like 90% of
Uh
Bleach, I feel like, are just side quest villains who end up working together in the end.
yeah. I guess you can even consider the, and I don't want to call them side quest villains, but if you're considering it that way, some of the first demons that they fight in Demon
Oh, yeah.
Slayer.
I mean, usually they don't come out with the main villain right away. It's always
Hmm. Muzan is the top main
mhm.
villain. And then you've got his upper
Yeah.
rank demons. So the upper rank demons, who he has created, are, in a sense, the main villain of their own arc.
Yeah.
So then you have two upper rank demons, Swordsmith Village arc, that are the main demons that they
Yeah.
got to
But for the
defeat.
main story, they're not the end
But
goal.
for the overall story, it's Muzan. Muzan is the top one. But you gotta get kind of like Naraku, you gotta get through these other people in order to get to this main person.
I don't
And
know. Thing is, for me personally, Bleach, I
mhm,
think they took out one of their best villains, truly the best villain, too early. I mean, granted, when you have a long running
mm,
story, it's really hard to sort of gauge where you're going to put everything because you just keep going.
mhm,
So,
mhm,
I don't
mhm.
know.
But now that makes me wonder if some of these villains are actually villains, or would you consider them victims of
No,
circumstance?
there definitely are. Like, for Naruto Pain, a chunk of them were just villains of circumstance. You know what I mean?
They've had bad things happen to them, and thus they have now turned around to become the
Yeah, or you have
villain.
like Itachi who, well, he was, I don't know if he was technically a villain, not really, because he was fighting for the good guys, but he had
I think
guys
when he
as a
was first
villain.
introduced, he was considered
Yeah,
a
well,
villain.
yeah, because he was doing the dirty work basically.
Yeah, he was doing the dirty work. But for example, the lower rank
Hmm.
demons in Demon Slayer, like I said earlier, you get their sad
Yeah.
backstory when at the time that they get are getting defeated, I should say. And once you get their sad backstory, you're like, oh, they actually had a reason why they wanted to become
Yeah, you just
demons,
understand them.
because they wanted to get stronger. They wanted to escape whatever it was that they were going through. And then you're like, oh, like obviously he's a villain because he hurt all
Hmm.
these people, but it's almost like they didn't necessarily have a choice.
For what? Yeah.
I guess they did. I
Yeah,
guess they did. The demons in Demon
you
Slayer,
have
they
yeah.
did. Now, the upper rank from the entertainment district, Daki and
Hmm.
her brother, their backstory hurt my heart.
Yeah. I feel
And it made me feel bad for them. I
yeah,
was like, man, I hated
I feel
both of
like,
you.
yeah, Demon Slayer does that really good. One Piece also does backstories really well, particularly even of bad people. They
Hmm.
just, like, some people can make really good backstories. And I really appreciate that, especially for villains, because I want
Hmm.
to understand. I want to understand why they do the things they do.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, how did this person get to this
Hmm.
point? And now that they are at this point, why are they continuing to stay at this point?
Yeah, because in any story, you need purpose. And while there are
Mhm.
some stories that work well, like I would say Chainsaw Man, I mean, of course
Mhm.
it has a purpose, but it's just chaotic in a sense because there is crazy where, I don't know, there's no final purpose in a weird way. It
Mhm.
works, but I feel in a lot of stories to have deep meaning, you really do need purpose and motive. And
Yeah.
so when a villain doesn't have those things, it's kind of not as impactful, in my personal opinion. And that's
Mhm.
why I like more complicated backstories and particularly painful ones where I can comprehend why they do things.
Yeah. It makes you understand the character a little bit more, which it's good if a villain and the main character have a very intricate character development because it brings your
Yeah.
viewers into the storyline a
Yeah.
lot more. And so when you get villains like Isabella from The Promised Neverland and Scar from Full Metal Alchemist, you understand a little bit more that they're either doing it on
Mhm.
revenge or they are doing it because they don't have any other choice. And I feel like that's the case with Isabella from The Promised Neverland. Like, she honestly did not have a choice. It was either she had to do as she was told
Yeah. I mean, she didn't have to
or
be.
she got
No, she
destroyed.
could have gone a different route, but she chose to be where she was kind of because she wanted to, in a sense, become a higher ranking person.
Yeah, I get that, but there was an episode or two where it appeared to
Mhm.
me that she was either at her wit's end and she could stop it if she wanted to, but she was so far into what she was doing that she
Mm.
couldn't, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense. When you find out one of the children that she
Yeah.
was raising was her
Yeah.
actual son,
Oh, that was so sad. Oh my god.
and she was purposefully trying to make sure that he did not get taken by any of the aliens, is what they called them, or
Monsters,
monsters.
demons? What are they called?
She was doing her best to protect him. But I honestly think that she's more of a villain because of the situation that she's been kind of
Yeah.
put in, rather than, yeah, it's her choice to continue it, but
It's kind of like,
she doesn't really have too many other options
yeah,
out of
but I
that.
feel like she's also a perfect depiction because you see the kids and they actually fight back, while she had
Hmm.
the same brilliance and possibly more ability to help them.
But she was also raised on that farm. Not that particular farm, but she was
Yeah,
raised on
and
the
that's why,
farm.
though, I feel like she's a good contrast to the kids when they do run away, of, "Hey,
Mhm.
you could have done the same, but instead you chose to be where you are," kind of thing.
And
Yeah.
continue this, yeah. Because once she did find out what was actually going on, you're right, she did make that choice to, "Oh, well, let me go and
Mhm.
be mom."
And I think she was like there were little fights she gave, but she kinda was like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like, she didn't give it her all,
Yeah,
and she makes a
on
good
the fence.
antagonist because she's basically what would happen had they not made the choice to fight kinda thing.
That makes sense. But then, I don't know, you also have villains like Yagami Light.
Straight up just like
He's just a straight up villain.
No, I do feel like he still kind of had purpose, he just kind of ended up getting a god complex.
Nah, he's evil.
Okay.
Straight up, he's just evil. He really thought that he could not be defeated. I think once Light started realizing the power that he had in his hands or the power that he
Mhm.
held, his rationale went out the window very
Yeah.
quickly.
I mean, off the bat, he was probably an arrogant narcissist, but given the power of the Death Note, he basically became corrupt and a dude with the god complex. He was just too
Mm.
easily corrupted by power, and I feel like that's most people, or maybe not most, but
No, there's a lot of villains that are really corrupt by power. If you consider that, you would also have Frieza, Hisoka, Naraku, pretty much all of the villains from Dragon Ball Z.
it's like once given the opportunity, you just, yeah, go for it. Yeah,
They're
you
just
go
gonna
for it,
take
and you
it,
just
yeah.
say,
They're trying to get stronger, and that's the sad part, I guess. But then you have villains like
mhm.
Aizen.
More so seek power, I guess. I don't know. Aizen's kind of like
Yeah.
I mean, he just wanted power, but oh, he's a Sly Fox. A very handsome Sly Fox who I hope to marry someday. I can accept his bad qualities. It's okay.
You're gonna try and change
Yeah,
him
I
for
might have to
good?
always keep one eye open when I sleep at night, but it's okay. I'll live with it.
You can be the Bulma to his Vegeta.
Oh.
There's a lot of villains that I think have switched sides, but Show Tucker, it is too
Oh
late for
yeah,
you
no,
to
it's too
switch
late for him.
sides.
He there's no saving him. I'm sorry.
Sorry. You gotta stay where you at. Envy you too.
Now, if you had to team up with a villain, who would it be? Once again, you gotta look out for yourself as well. So,
Against the villain,
no,
or is
you're
it
on the
like
same
we're on the same
side. You're trying to
page?
destroy the world or whatever you wanna do. Who are you teaming up with?
I honestly don't want to team up with
None
none
of
of them. But
none of them?
yeah, because think about it. These villains, especially the real crazy ones, they could turn their
Oh,
back on
yeah.
you in a
But
second.
that's why you just have to have something that they
So
want.
I don't want them
The
problems.
problem.
I don't want any of them problems. If I were to team up with a villain. I'm teaming up with
Okay.
Frieza.
Why?
If I was
Yeah.
on Frieza's side and we were able to defeat the heroes, I ain't got to worry about nothing else.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
He's just going to take over.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
I would take a powerful person, but I would make sure they're kind of like a little bit stupid. Like I don't go for the super smart people because I know they're gonna just stab me in the back. But the straightforward types, like Grimjaw, like people who can't really hold their emotions back, I feel
Oh,
like I can take
yeah.
advantage of them a little bit easier versus someone like Muzan or like Aizen. Like, no, these people would be like thinking 50 steps ahead of me. So it'd be game over for me. Before I know it, they would betray
I
me
mean, but
and I'd
if
be like, what the
it
heck
would
happened?
it would depend on what level
Mm,
they are at, honestly. Because if we are on the same page about everything, I know I am safe.
yeah. Like if you're on the same side.
If we're on the same side and we're going after the same
Yeah.
thing, I know I'm safe, straight up. But if I had a slight
Hmm.
advantage, I'm making sure that
Yeah.
advantage is held
I
up.
always feel like though those kinds of people, they're too strong. Like they're basically like, oh, there's only one that can be on top.
hmm
If I'm trying to be a top villain here, I couldn't be on the same team as them. They would just take me out.
I mean, quite honestly, I don't want to pair with any of
I
the
mean, granted,
villains.
yeah.
I don't. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna make sure I stay
Hmm.
my behind at home and be
Yeah,
safe.
I'm definitely,
I don't
especially the
want them
crazy ones,
problems.
I'm staying far away from them.
That makes me wonder, if you were a villain, if you could choose to be any one of these villains, who would you be?
Ooh, that is a good question. A villain who hasn't been caught. Maybe. Okay, if I'm going straight, I feel like Johan would be a good one or Makima because, well, Makima
hmm
kind of did get caught. Okay, I'm gonna go for Johan because he basically did not get caught. And honestly, he feels no remorse. So if I'm going for it, I might as well go big. Yep.
Yeah, go big or go home. So all the villains that I know
Hmm.
get defeated.
Yeah, I mean, usually that's the case.
That's the case.
Yeah.
That's why they're the villain. They're supposed to get defeated. But I think I would want to be Naraku because he's
Hmm.
smart. He's smart to try to send all those people, every single last person, to do his bidding, only to be defeated after so many seasons.
That's
At the
true.
very end. I mean, you really have to think about it. Like, Naraku, he's slick. He is so slick. He was like, you know what? I ain't got time to fight you. So I'm going to make some reincarnations of me, which was Kana and Kagura, who were linked to him, and a whole bunch of these other demons. And I'm just going to send them after you because you're not strong enough to be on my level. That's the energy I got from him, was you are not at my level yet. Now, once you get to my level, then you can come back over
Yeah,
here.
so you basically have to pass all these levels to get to me. Yeah, that makes sense.
And he was the one who tore Kikyo and Inuyasha apart in the first place because of his greed.
Mhm.
He wanted that
Mhm.
Shikon no Tama, the Shikanjo, to where he disguised himself as the priestess's lover, attacked her, stole the Shikanjo, or tried to, split them two apart. Like, do you know how manipulative you have to be to break up and then pose as the other
I
lovers?
mean, granted, it wasn't that hard.
Either way it goes,
He
he's
is.
smart. I would like to be Naraku.
I mean, he saw an opportunity and he said, "That's gonna be easy." So
He took it. All
tell
right,
us
guys.
which villain would you say you would team up with, and which villain are you the most scared of?
Also, let us know, is your villain really a true villain, or are they a victim of
Yep.
circumstance? Thanks, guys, for stopping by. Make sure you follow us on our Instagram page at Anime Sekai Podcast. We are here for you every Friday, and we are so glad you guys joined us. Thanks again
Thanks,
for
guys. Hope
stopping
you
by,
enjoyed.
guys. See you next week. Bye.